I guess it's common for a mother to love her son so much that she feels that no other woman can love her son as much as she does. Not normal, but common. Hey, I'm Emilia, and I happen to be the daughter-in-law of one such mom. Linda, my mother-in-law, never liked me. We can go as far as to say that she hates me because I stole her precious son from her. Or at least that's what her actions have always said. Robert and I started dating back when we were in college. He struck me as a very simple-minded, sensitive guy who loved his mother very much. I can say I liked him because he wasn't manipulative and heartless like most guys. He told me his mother and father were not very close. His father was usually away for his business, so it was just him and his mother for most of his life. Though he loves both of his parents, his mother means a lot to him. I guess you can call this the first red flag, but I was naive enough to think that he's considerate and loving and mistook it for a green flag instead. Love truly is blind, as they say. The first sign that I truly considered a huge red flag was when I first met his mother. Oh boy. Yeah, it was Linda, and I met her at dinner. Oh, can you imagine the horror? Don't get me wrong, I get that children never really grow up in their parents' eyes, but he's 23 years old at the time, for crying out loud. This woman comes, hugs his son, and the first word that she uttered was, "Oh, Pookie, you've got a runny nose. My baby's got a runny nose. Let me wipe it for you." Let me wipe it for you? Like, guys, can you even imagine? Oh, man. Trust me, I wish I was lying, but I am not. I am not at all. The whole time we were there, she called me the other woman, and how I should take note on how to take care of her precious baby, even though she was already sure that I would never be able to do it like she does. Like hell, I wanted to, I don't know, later. Robert tried to justify her actions completely by saying that she just loved him too much, and something like he was her little baby, he couldn't take that away from her. I don't know, I was just absolutely furious, however. Guys, he assured me that I would not have to put up much with her, as we would rarely even be seeing her. So let's go ahead and just fast forward to the present. Robert and I have been married for almost 3 years now. Though I love Robert very much still, these past few years have been horrendous, all thanks to Linda. Yeah. She hates me. I'm sure of it, and Robert, of course, just disagrees. Whenever I try to discuss it with him, he goes all, "How should I just give her some time?" And she just means well and is doing all this because she loved him too much. As you can tell, talking to him about my mother-in-law was pointless. And before any of you say that maybe I should give her a chance, I did. I tried my best, and the first year after our marriage, it was a bit quiet, except for the occasional visit where she made sure to leave no chance to point out all the things I was doing wrong. From the way I dressed to the way our house was decorated, it was all wrong. Still, in hopes of someday fostering a harmonious relationship with her, I welcomed all her inputs as graciously as I could. However, her well-intentioned advice soon turned into unnecessary meddling and quickly further escalated into something more intrusive. She starts dropping by our house unannounced and always had something to say about the way I dress, cook, clean, whatnot. Criticizing what I do, whatever I do, soon became her favorite task. She didn't stop there. Soon she began openly criticizing my choices in front of other family members and friends, meddling in our personal affairs and undermining my opinion, making me feel like a guest at my own home. What really got on my nerves was the way she treated Robert like a little baby, doting on him excessively and undermining our roles as equal partners in our marriage. Her constant coddling and obsessive need to control every aspect of his life started to not only affect me, but our relationship too. And guess what happened next? She freaking moved in with us. Yeah, Robert and I are both working, and this gave her a chance to say that I'm not invested enough in his well-being. She thinks her precious baby is suffering because of me, and if she moves in with us, she'll be able to help us out and take care of her little Pookie. Yeah, right. Now I wish I never let that happen, because from the moment she's stepping foot in our house and our lives, my relationship with Robert started going downhill. She slowly started poisoning Robert's mind against me, and we started having constant fights at the tiniest of things. Before I knew it, he changed completely from the guy he supported me in my career to the person saying that I'm a terrible wife who can't even take care of her husband. Then came the day, because of which I'm here writing about my personal life on the interwebs. It was like any other day when my mother-in-law came back from wherever the hell she went, so early in the morning. However, there was something different and something terribly wrong, and instead of going straight to her little baby, she came to me with a malicious glint in her eyes and fury written all over her face. With a sudden movement, her hand shot, delivering a sharp slap across my face. Before I could understand what exactly happened, she threw photos of me with strange men and divorce papers at my face, and she said, "Get off, you leech! Get the hell out of my son's life!" I was shocked. I could not really believe my eyes. With an undeniable sound of victory in her voice, she told my husband that I've been cheating on him for months, and how she finally managed to get her hands on some solid evidence. She continued, going on about how she had always had her doubts about me, and how she knew I wasn't good enough for her son. I retaliated, saying that I don't know this man and the photographs, and have never met him in my entire life. Well, my mother-in-law, she just started snorting at this and started calling me all sorts of names. I would ignore her, obviously, and pleaded with Robert to believe me. Well, he did not say a word and just kept looking at the photos, and on the other hand, Linda was quick to pack my stuff up. She threw my belongings out of the house along with divorce papers. She grabbed me by my hand and started dragging me out of the house, and I started pleading with her to at least just listen to me for once. While she pushed me towards the door, it was all a mess when suddenly Linda backed off, and before anyone could understand what happened, she was lying down on the floor moaning in pain. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure I didn't push her back. But there she was, lying on the floor moaning as if majorly hurt. Robert pushed towards her, helping her to her feet, and he just started shouting at me about what was wrong with me and how could I push his mother. I tried telling him that it wasn't me, that I did not push her, but he cut off mid-sentence and asked me to leave, just like that. I was furious and really hurt. How could my own husband not trust me? I did nothing wrong, so I wasn't going to stand and take disrespect like that. So I picked up my belongings, and with a last look at my husband and the woman who made my life hell, I walked out through the front door, and all of this happened yesterday, and since then I've been living in a hotel room. I know this is no permanent situation for me. It has to work. I'm planning to shift with my family, but let's just see what happens. I feel like I'm too much of a mess right now to bother them with it, but what other option do I have? Well, this is the craziest situation that's led me here, and I don't really know what I should do, so I would appreciate any suggestions if you guys could give some advice. Thank you. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Oh boy, another insane mother-in-law. It just seems like they're everywhere these days. If you've ever had an in-law dispute, let me know your story in the comment section. Guys, we have the next update. It came out 2 months after the original post, and if you're new to the channel, you know that we always have every single update available. So go ahead and press that subscribe button for daily animated stories. And here is your first update 2 months later, update number 1. So many of you have said it. I should turn to the comfort of my family. I took your advice and did exactly that. After I left the house, I moved in with my Nana, my grandmother who's 82, and her support has actually been my strength all this time. During this time, I met Robert once outside. We were discussing the photographies, and I tried explaining to him again that I have no idea what's going on and where did these photographs come from. I told him that I've only loved him and have been loyal to him since we met. He could only say that he wanted to believe me, but the photographs and what his mother said was implying otherwise. In my defense, I could just tell him about how his mother hated me, but he just got offended at this, saying if I thought that his mother is lying and tricking him, he should just keep shouting on me about how could I even think that his mother would stoop so low. Only if he knew how his mother could act. Come on. That's how our first attempt at saving our marriage was a disaster. Funny how, even my mother-in-law was not there. She still managed to ruin things for me. Anyways, the reason I'm writing again today is what happened yesterday. However, before I tell you what happened, I need to tell you something else first, so that it's easier for you to understand. I belong to a very well-to-do family. My father owns multiple green tech companies, both nationwide, and needless to say, he's really, really rich. He's quite the hunk, too. I know, he's been voted top 10 hottest entrepreneurs or something. Some sort of magazine, can you believe it? However, he only has eyes for my mom. Unfortunately for both me and him, my mother died when I was 12 years of age. My father, he simply never remarried. Since he has his own business to take care of him, I grew up with Nana, my mother's mother, my grandmother. Though he was not around much, I never felt that I did not have my parents to love me. He was always there for me and loved me very much, and he always used to say that I'm the spitting image of my mom, and I'm proud of that. Sorry, I get a bit carried away in my emotions. After I finished my college, I wanted to do something of my own. I've always been interested in fashion, so I wanted to have my own clothing brand. This would have been easy with my father's help, but I wanted to do something of my own. I wanted to create my own name. My father's wisdom, support, and love was all I needed, and thankfully my ventures were very much successful. It was around the same time things between me and Robert started getting serious. The only problem was, let's just say, he wasn't settling in ways that one would like to be in his life. This wasn't a problem to me, after all, I still love him. We decided to get married so I can support him better. My father did not think much of Robert, but loved me enough to respect my decision. So we bought a house, or should I say I bought the house. I set up a monthly transfer of approximately $6,000 to my mother-in-law. The money she thinks her son sent to her and have supported Robert since. I have never really told her this or said anything about this to anyone because I did not want Robert or anyone else to think less of him. At first, Robert was really grateful for it, but I guess he's gotten so used to me taking care of the finances. So back to now, of course, after my last conversation with Robert about our marriage, I stopped the monthly allowance of my mother-in-law and paying rest of the bills, and guess who came to meet me yesterday? Yep, you probably guessed it, mother-in-law. She came to meet me and talk about the finances. The audacity. She did not care about how wrong she did me. Turns out Robert had finally confessed to her. Confessed to her all about who has been taking care of our finances along with her allowance all this time. Can you believe, instead of being grateful, this woman accuses me of being selfish and said that I had played a very cheap trick by using money to cover up indiscretions? I lost my mind at this. I confronted her and said that even she knows that those photographs are fake. I just could not control myself and asked her why she hated me so much. What have I ever done to her? She shouts at me and says, "You are her daughter. I can never forgive her for what she has done to me, and you're exactly like her. All you know is how to steal men, just like your cheap mother." Well, I sat there pretty shocked, I'd say. Absolutely shocked. Is she talking about my mom? What did my mother have anything to do with all this? But as I asked her what she was talking about, she just dismissed the topic and got up to leave. She simply said that I should not be selfish as Robert is still my husband. She tells me that she had received those photos, and yes, they could be fake. She'll take Robert out of divorce given I continue taking care of the finances. And she quickly said whatever differences we may have, it's not Robert's fault, and that he should not suffer, and left. Guys, I'm just utterly so confused about how she knows my mom, and what does anything of this has to do with her? Well, one thing I'm sure of is that neither of them will be getting a single penny from me until they apologize. So, what do you guys think? Am I completely cutting off my husband along with my mother-in-law make me an a-hole? I might do it. Update number 2. Hey guys, yeah, I know. It's been 2 days since my last update, but I have a major thing to tell you guys. Thank you for all the kind comments. Almost all of you agreed that I should not give a penny to my mother-in-law and her precious little baby man-child. But I wish things were that simple, only if you guys knew the ordeal I've been dealing with for the past couple of days. I'll seriously have to consider therapy, and I guess that's what you guys will advise me to do, so read further at your own risk. Yep. After my mother-in-law left in a hurry, I tried calling her multiple times and explaining herself. But either she did not pick up or she ignored my question and called me names for not wanting to save my marriage or by giving her money. A week later, my father came to visit me at Nana's. When he heard about what happened, he gets furious and asked one of his personal investigators to get photos checked out. I've never seen him this angry and definitely never at me. He was mad that I did not tell him anything, but before he could continue scolding me like the little girl he still thinks I am to be, I asked him if my mother knew, my mother-in-law personally. He goes really quiet. I won't bore you guys with the whole conversation that went through, but turns out my mother and my mother-in-law were best friends throughout college. That's when my mother and father met. Apparently, my mother-in-law liked my father too, but as I mentioned before, my father only had eyes for my mom. So, my mother and father start to date, and my mother-in-law quietly started hating her, stealing her supposed lover. No one really knew about this till my mother-in-law tried to physically harm my mother a day before my parents' wedding. My mom, of course, was heartbroken to learn the truth. She somewhat felt guilty too, as she had not sensed her best friend's pain. So, did not press any charges against mother-in-law, but cut ties with her for good. My mother-in-law later got married to some man her mother and father found for her, but she wasn't really happy. And as heaven would have it, her son fell in love with their daughters of the same woman who, in her eyes, stole her first love. Yeah, I know, it's pretty messed up. I don't really know what to think about Linda anymore. Should I feel sympathy towards her, or pity, or maybe even anger? This is just too much for me to take, and I'm still trying to process all of this information. I mean, what do you guys think? Am I doing the right thing? Update number 3. Hey guys, this is the final update, but I'm back again. It's been a few weeks since my previous update, and most probably this is it. I've filed both divorce and charges against my mother-in-law. Well, why? Let me tell you. But first, thank you for all the supportive comments. I, too, agree that she's a grown woman who should have been sensible enough to not mix her and her son's life. Those of you who were sympathetic towards her for having her heart broken and then having me around as a constant reminder of that pain, wait till you hear what she did. So, the result from my father's investigation came back. The guy in the photo was a middle-aged broke man from a faraway city, and the girl wasn't even me. It was his, and I guess cousin sister, who's the same age as me and looks a bit like me. And since the face was not clearly visible in the photos, it's easy to mistake her for being me. They were both paid by my mother-in-law to act intimate and send photos to end my marriage with Robert. You know, this was before she knew about our financial agreement. Once she learned about that, she asked them to send more indecent photographs so that she could try to claim the house and get some money out of me by blackmail or in the court, portraying the divorce as a result of my indiscretion. I mean, how could anyone be so horrible? What else could I do? I pressed serious charges against her for defamation and emotional abuse. My father let her go the last time upon my mother's request, but this time he promised to make her pay for what she did to both of us. But why did I still file divorce, you're asking? After all this was cleared, Robert came to me apologizing for everything and not trusting me. He said he loved me and still wanted to be my wife, to which I said that I needed time to consider, as I was not sure if I loved him anymore. These past few years, I've been through a lot, and everything that's happened has chipped away at our relationship and my love for him. I didn't know whether I should give my marriage another chance. However, soon enough, he made it so much easier for me, guys. After all, how far could the fruit have fallen from the tree? You know, we were trying couple therapies and dating again to see if things could be saved between us, and on one such date of ours, he started telling me how much he loved me and how grateful he was that I was trying to forgive him. Then he proceeds further to say how he thinks I should try the same thing for his mother. According to him, his mom did everything because she was in pain and not because she was a bad person. He said that he wants me to take back the charges filed against his mom, and we should go back to being the happy family that we were. Can you believe the audacity? I laughed at his face. Happy family, he said? We were happy? It was then I realized that they were happy, but it was at my cost. All these years, they lived happily with my money and by making me miserable. My husband had long stopped being grateful for the financial aid I was providing and saw it more as his right. And my mother-in-law just reveled in exacting her twisted vengeance on her best friend's daughter. And that was it. I told him that I would never drop the charges of his mom and that I was divorcing him. This was the last I saw of him, and I had them thrown out of my home. Pulled back the money my company had invested in his little failure of a project, and left the town altogether. I'm writing this post from my new house in LA, where I live with my father and Nana. I finally accepted my father's help in my business and taken my brand international. I don't know where Robert or his mother are. The last I heard was that Robert's father took Robert in, which might be more miserable for him as he hates his father, who's an alcoholic. As for Linda, well, she's still in jail. I have my dad to thank for that. All I know is wherever they are, I hope they both have learned their lesson and will live the rest of their life doing good. I mean, I do wish them well. Oh, who am I kidding? I wish they would both rot. Lastly, I would just like to thank you guys for the constant supports and throughout the whole messy journey. Goodbye.